The caucuses, as you know, are happening tomorrow night, the first votes to be cast in the 2020 election cycle. And so much is riding on the results. Whoever wins in Iowa is going to have momentum going into New Hampshire, which is just 8 days later, followed by primaries in Nevada and South Carolina. Florida, as you know, does not vote until March 17th. But right now, all eyes are on Iowa and what is going to happen at the caucuses tomorrow night. Will it be Bernie or Biden or Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar? Mike Bloomberg is not on the ballot there or on any ballot until Super Tuesday, March 3rd. But right now, it's all about Iowa. So let's go to live in Des Moines, where our friend, colleague, and co-moderator of this show, Glenna Milberg, standing by live. Glenna, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Beautiful day here in Des Moines and throughout Iowa. I think we even break 40 here today. So the final arguments already underway today, the last day that the candidates can really get out, get on the road, crisscross the state, getting that last minute FaceTime today, and they are all doing that. The message, though, Michael, really interesting. All week it's been about policy and their ideas. Today it's all about the passion. Candidates really need to get Iowans out to the caucus precincts tomorrow night.
Yes, we can win in the general election statewide in the state of Iowa. Of course we can do that. Of course we can do that.
Saturday night in Des Moines, Amy Klobuchar packed the house. Across town with Andrew Yang, standing room only.
When I say show up, you say for Yang. Show up! For Yang!
Those were the latest in a dizzying schedule of appearances and events all the Democratic candidates have been making in cities and counties around cold, snow-covered Iowa these last days, making plays for those headed to caucus Monday night.
I think it actually sets the tone, possibly, for the election going forward, and gets people interested and so forth, and say, oh, so they just take a second look.
Thank you.
Joe Biden protecting his ground in a statistical tie with Bernie Sanders, who, like 2016, is rocking the youngest voters with promises of social revolution. Pete Buttigieg, an unknown, now top contender, and courting disaffected Republicans. Elizabeth Warren down in the polls, campaigning as a unifier. Tomorrow night begins with caucus goers clustering together for their candidates. If one does not receive 15% of the room threshold, that candidate is no longer viable there, and those caucus supporters realign to support another. Second and third choices are important here. Look for how caucus goers break for the progressive change candidates. Familiars stay the course moderates or bridge-building political newcomers.
Just to be right in the middle of it and just have that opportunity where all the politicians are gathered and you can really be immersed in that information.
And immersed in an advertising onslaught. Billboards, yard signs, door hangers, and no Iowan can watch but a few minutes of television without a front row seat to an on-air ad war.
$11.3 million are being injected into our local economy because of the Iowa caucuses. That's significant.
Relatively small state with outsized importance because of this position as the first vote in the presidential season. The issues here to caucus goers, you're very familiar with things like health care, climate crisis, education, all of those things. But all of the Democratic caucus goers we've been talking to have this one overarching issue that they're going in with, and that is to pick a candidate that in November will be able to beat Donald Trump. And Michael, what is really interesting to think about is just 4 years ago here in Iowa in the GOP caucusing, Donald Trump came in second, and that was really the nation's first look at what kind of power and pull Donald Trump would have.
A powerful figure, no doubt. Glenna, how many Iowans do they estimate are going to go and caucus tomorrow night?
You know, Michael, I don't have a number, but they do think the turnout is going to exceed the largest turnout ever here, which was 2008. Barack Obama was on that ticket. So they are expecting a really huge possibly precedent-setting turnout. We've been seeing anecdotally that that is the case. People here are so engaged, and to be able to caucus, which is not going into a voting booth and checking off or bubbling in a dot, it's actually going in and arguing and debating and persuading the people around you to come and support your candidate. And so to do that, the people here are really engaged in the issues, very knowledgeable about their candidate, and it's kind of like, you know, true democracy in the making.
A caucus is unlike any other kind of thing I have seen, except maybe a Vermont town meeting. It's very unusual. Glenna, there is some breaking news out of Des Moines this morning. The Des Moines Register, which is the most powerful, influential voice in the state of Iowa, normally publishes its poll on the Sunday before the caucuses, but they didn't publish their poll. Why not? Do you know?
They didn't, and yes, and actually this here broke last night, really kind of stunning people. Des Moines Register went last night and sort of reported that there was an issue with a respondent to the poll who claimed that there was an issue with not all the candidates being on the ballot. That was, I hear, coming through the Pete Buttigieg campaign. A campaign staffer kind of raised a lot of issues with the Des Moines Register, and in an abundance of caution, because it is such a highly respected poll, in an abundance of caution decided to pull the poll and not publish the results. That kind of had a cascading effect as well, because the poll was also a Des Moines Register CNN poll. CNN had planned an entire program last night around the results of that poll, and all of a sudden they had to find something to fill that hour. So that was kind of stunning the people on the ground here, and all of the candidates' ground games. They were expecting something in hand to sort of take and spin and sell for themselves. I don't know for the caucus goer here if that was as big of a deal this time as it is to insiders here.
Our Glenna Milberg live in a balmy Des Moines, 40 degrees, my goodness. Glad it's not freezing the way it usually is. Glenna, we're glad you're there. We will look forward to your reports.